All right, guys. Oh, shit. Gosh, that was a voice crack. Holy crap. You know what? We're doing it live. We'll keep doing it live. That was the intro. Okay? Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
That's the whole intro?
That's the intro. That's the entire intro. This is the We Hate Anime podcast. I'm Mothman. This is Frog. And, you know, can we just be candid about what's happening with Mike right now?
Mike died in a car accident 4 days ago.
No, we're going to be candid. It's Mike's birthday, and Mike doesn't enjoy his birthdays. So to make him feel better, I bought him The Last of Us 2, and he killed himself. And he was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. He goes, oh man, look, this Abby girl's getting her shirt taken off. And that was the last I heard of Mike. Speaking of which, did you hear the rumors about that, Frog? Like, I mean, I would love to dogpile the train wreck that is this game for the entire episode. But
I mean, like, I'm a little frustrated with the discourse somewhat because, like, most of the people who are shitting on it haven't played it, but at the same time, it doesn't look very good. But also, I haven't played it, so what can I say?
Well, my biggest issue with it is just the fact I didn't like the first Last of Us, so I wasn't going to buy the second one because slow, character-driven drama, like Hideo Kojima has shown that you can do character-driven drama without being slow and pathetic, and he did that with like
GS5 was fun.
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I don't
think Revengeance is a very slow character drama. But.
No, but it's not. But that's the thing. Like, you can do character development, character drama, character interactions without it being slow, and we saw that with Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
I mean, I don't even think slow is a problem. I think it's just boring is a problem.
Yeah. So I really liked The Last of Us 1's multiplayer, and they took that out for the second one. So I'm not gonna play it. Like, any reason I had to play The Last of Us 2 is gone. But
I think most people didn't play the multiplayer in that game. I mean, I think we had this conversation like a year ago at this point, but I don't think I even remember there being multiplayer in the first one. So
it was dark. It was very grimdark because every time you lost an online match, like, people in your surviving tribe died, and eventually, if you lost too many matches in a row, you would have to start your entire like conflict all over again because your entire clan died. It was dark.
Was it like an overlay kind of thing, like for when you're over the course of multiplayer matches and shit?
Yeah.
Like,
so it was
gain or lose.
I don't think I ever made it past like 20 days or something because people got brutal in multiplayer. Like, they got super brutal.
It's interesting.
But it was a really good concept, and it kind of made you feel like, hey, every loss counts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the issue, it's the same reason why I haven't bought Borderlands 3, even though I desperately want to play Borderlands 3, is just like Randy Pitchford.
Patrick Warburton, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton. Randy Pitchford has actually been so bad. Like, he's such a terrible human being that I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, no, Pitchford is, he's something else.
Yeah, he's, and so it's the same thing with Druckmann. Like,
there's like so many weird game devs in that same sphere. I'm not sure. Is this the same guy who had, less than tasteful pornography on his disk drive that he left in like a restaurant or something?
That was Pitchford, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But and that's alleged. I don't know. And apparently it was pedophilia too. That's like the full story that I heard is it was basically pedophilia.
Well, you know.
But this is alleged.
Allegedly.
Like, you know, I don't need to hear that Randy Pitchford is a pedophile to know he's a bad person. Like,
yeah.
And so with Druckmann, the reports have been coming in left and right, and the thing is, I tend to end up weirdly on the more right-wing neo-Nazi sides of news posts, as I'm sure you and Mike tend to end up on like the more alternative left side of things. And so I've been hearing all sorts of things about Druckmann and this development process. I guess one of the people that did mocap, and this is like he said, she said, but it makes for good drama. One of the people in the mocap department admitted that they were like, yeah, so we didn't have enough actors who were willing to do like that weird sex scene with Abby. And they say that allegedly Randy filmed both sides of the scene. Like, he was in the bodysuit. Like, I don't think this is real, but it's just, it's great to imagine that he's so far up his own ass that he was literally up his own ass.
Because like, I would take anything you see here from that sector with like 8 grains of salt, but at the same time, that picture is hilarious.
Just like Randy, like, just raw dogging his own like morph suit, being like, "You like that, you dirty slut?" Or not Randy.
Yeah,
gosh,
Randy's getting Randy.
Just get Randy and gosh, I can't even remember his name. Druckmann.
That's Druckmann though.
Yeah. Get Pitchford and Druckmann just to do the scene together. That's a match made in hell right there.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so I've heard that. What are some of the other things I've heard? The biggest issue I heard is, I guess, Pitchford, and this is the thing that really disgusts me, is there was a writer, and I need to look her name up, but basically she's been with Naughty Dog, and she's the reason like the Nathan Drake Uncharted series has been really good.
Yeah.
Like
So I've heard anyway. I haven't played any.
Well, she was the reason, like, the writing on the Nathan Drake. Amy Hennig, that's her name. So Amy Hennig was responsible, I guess, for some of the writing for the original Legacy of Kain series. She's the reason the first Last of Us was good, and she had a script for The Last of Us 2. And she frequently said, she's like, there's no reason being, there's no problem being a woman in the game industry. Like, I've never felt males felt challenged by me. Like, she's consistently said, like, men help me out all the time. They got me on the Legacy of Kain. They helped me make Uncharted really great. Like, I've never had an issue with male co-writers and stuff like that.
For her.
And then,
I'm not gonna say she's representative, but yeah.
no, but then, and that's fair. Like, I could tell you right now from my wife's side of things, her even trying to get into animation was such a nepotistic boys club that she was just like, I don't have the energy to fight these boys all the time.
Yeah. Like, I like hearing stories like that of a woman getting, like, in a plays just fine, but like at the same time, I feel people like will point to those things and be like, "See, it's fine."
No, it's absolutely not fine.
Exactly.
I definitely think
it's an issue.
I definitely think people like Pendleton Ward did a lot to like open doors for female content creators and stuff like that, and we're definitely in a renaissance where it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wife told me like that even in college, she couldn't get her ideas pitched, and lower quality ideas than what were being pitched were being accepted because like it was a boys club, and the guys would be like, "Hey man, let's write a thing about a robot," and like the 7 guys in the group would be like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then the 2 girls would be like, "That's dumb."
Okay, to be fair, the girls are in the wrong. Robots are fucking sick.
Well, they are sick, but
at
like,
that point, they deserve.
But apparently the other girl, not even my wife, but like the other girl had a legitimately more interesting idea, and their project ended up doing poorly. It was like the worst in the class.
That's weird.
Yeah. So, but back to Hennig. She said I had no issue in the industry, and then Druckmann pretty much muscled her out of Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact details, but basically he made her life more and more difficult at Naughty Dog and I'm not sure exactly whether she made the decision or Naughty Dog did, but it was like Hennig or Druckmann had to go. And it ended up being obviously Hennig left. And the issue here is we have Druckmann talking about like, "Hey, I'm a hero. I'm such an ally. Look, I got LGBT representative in my game." But then he failed on the most basic human level, where he's like abused people, not just women, not just like he has abused people. He's had people on a death march. He took his bonus before the game was even finished. He forced Hennig, one of the best writers in the industry, out of Naughty Dog. He completely butchered a beloved sequel to a game just for his own ego. Like, and then he has the audacity to come out and be like, "I'm an ally, guys."
I mean, that's like, not to get political, but that's like that is a lot of kind of faces of politics, which is like they'll basically make empty statements or something about like being a progressive or what have you, and then just not actually do anything.
Well, that's why I don't tell people I'm a male feminist, because I'm not a rapist.
That does have a bad name, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, like at this point, I would rather somebody call me like a chauvinist or like toxic masculinity than a male feminist. Like,
I mean,
because
at
least with the other ones, like, I wouldn't feel like I'm secretly a rapist.
Yeah, I mean, the whole term, I mean, again, we're getting political now, but the whole term, like, feminism has such a weird thing to it after the whole, like, after, like, anything past 2016, using the word feminist almost feels cringy now, because it feels like the word has changed meaning. It hasn't, but it's just almost like the discourse fucked it up, right?
But, Frog, we've seen a lot of, like, actually positive feminist movements in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I know. That's why it sucks.
The Me Too movement has been amazing. It has been monumental. Like,
yeah, the Me Too movement's cool. I don't like that the creator was well, whatever. But
I don't know the details about that. I just know that at the end of the day, the end results of the Me Too movement.
No, yeah, the end results of Me Too
positive.
is a good thing for sure. No, I'm with you there.
Yeah. So Mike's over here. Mike's like turning in his grave because like the one episode I'm not here.
It's very milquetoast politics. It's like, oh boy, we're progressive. Who'd have guessed? But yeah, whatever.
I mean, you and Mike are. I've pretty much, if I haven't said it, like even on like my Twitter account, I avoid politics. Like I dodged the entire Black Lives Matter situation and the riots and the protests. And I mean, I was nipping. I was biting at the reins the entire time. Like I really want to make a statement. I want to say stuff. I want to encourage positive forward thought in all directions, but I didn't say anything. I sat there and bit my fingers.
I mean, your choices about like speaking out or like whatever. I mean, if you want to like be a silent advocate, like that's your choice. I'm just saying, like in terms of general beliefs, you're not like a fucking chode.
I mean,
oh Jesus!
You don't know that.
I mean, yeah, okay. I guess I don't know how many people you've lynched in your backyard, but at the same time,
I got 2 trees. We could do the math here, Frog.
Yeah.
The answer is 4 because there's 4 branches.
Per tree, so 8.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's The Last of Us 2 has been a train wreck, and it actually genuinely makes me sad. And the weird thing is we're seeing such an inverse happen with CD Projekt Red right now, because Neil Druckmann was the face of The Last of Us the entire time. Like, he's like, yeah, we're making sure the game's 100%, blah, 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 blah. Well, with CD Projekt Red, they're like, hey, we had to delay our game again. It was originally an April release. We've pushed it back to September, and now we're pushing it back to November. And the term, and we learned this from our friend Det, the term now is called the Death March.
Yeah. That's like when you... I've read the specifics of it, but it's like a weird, like, super crunch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when you're on crunch. It's when you're on crunch the entire time. Like, your deadline keeps getting pushed back. So, like, it's one thing. It's like, hey, the game comes out in 3 months. I need you guys to put in 60-hour weeks for the next 3 months.
Yeah, like, regardless if you like the game or not, like, the methods in which the game was produced are not cool.
Yeah, that's what happened with The Last of Us 2, is they have been in Death March for, 2 years now?
Yeah, something like that.
And what happens is, the reason it's called the Death March is that is when studios will see everybody quit. Like, it is the highest turnover rate. Like, it is very believable that the people that started the game, and when you're seeing the credits, like, the reason the credits list may be so long is because nobody from the original team is in there anymore. Nobody at all. Like, the directors are the only people. And CD Projekt Red, they're the guy who's been in charge ever since the first Witcher game, he's pretty much said, he's like, yeah, my guys are crunching. He's like, we have people putting in 60-hour work weeks, but we're trying our best to keep those guys from burning out, basically. He's like...
Still, I mean, it's not much better, but I guess they're honest, at least. That's, like, the most I can get them there.
There's a difference between, like, a 60-hour work week, and I guarantee you some of the people doing, like, The Last of Us were doing 90-hour work weeks.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's better, but, like, it's still a crunch, and it's... whatever.
To put it in perspective, because I guess a lot of people have never actually worked, like, a 60-hour work week or anything like that. When you're doing this overtime, because the most I've ever worked in a week was 110 hours. And to give you an idea on how bad that was, I was literally sleeping on ultrasound tables. I was working on a imaging center where we were trying to get an MRI back up and running over the course of a week. And that week, because I think I clocked 10 days on that job in total, in the last 5 days of that 10-day circuit, I was coming home to take a shower and change my clothes. I would drive an hour to the job site. I would work 20 hours. I would nap for 4 hours on a table. And just so you know, your productivity goes through the floor at that point. Like, the point at which you're doing 18-hour days, it is the reason it's taking you 18 hours is because you are doing 8 hours of work over the course of 18 hours because you have no energy left.
Yeah.
It is god awful. Like, that 110-hour day, there was like a point where we were ramping a magnet, and I won't get into the technicals about it, but like ramping a magnet takes about 2 hours, regardless of the magnet. And what that is, that's bringing the magnet from 0 Tesla to anywhere between like 1.2 and 3.5 Tesla. I think some companies make a 4 Tesla magnet, but we don't. That could take about 2 hours, and we were reaching the point where we would flip it on, and if the ramp fails, it fails in the first 20 minutes, and you have to basically sit there and wait an hour to try again and stuff like that. There's all sorts of stuff you have to do. But it was getting to the point where we would have this 2-hour ramp cycle, and we would just watch like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or something, and we would watch like 2 or 3 movies, and the ramp cycle will have been done for like 1 to 2 hours by this point, and we didn't even notice because we were so burned out. So when you're working these 60-hour weeks, like 60-hour weeks, I can be productive for about 3 weeks straight. At about 6 weeks, my wife wants me to sleep in a hotel. So I feel horrible for these people, and what I recommend, and obviously I don't know if all developers can do this, but like when you have CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077, you have to almost like give these people a 60-hour week and then like give them a 30-hour week or something.
Right.
You have to cycle that kind of work time.
Even then, at that point, just make the regular 40 hours and you've evened it out.
No, because you absolutely do have to crunch. Like, you gotta be, like, on your most productive days, you have to put it out there. Like, Tuesday and Wednesday, you have to be slamming
just
balls
push
to
it
the
back.
wall.
I don't give a fuck.
Sure, it's but at this point, the nice thing is the new release date is my birthday.
I mean, hey, there you go.
Yeah, I got a Radeon 7 graphics card in here. I got a 8-core processor, like 32 gigs of RAM, and the whole thing's liquid cooled. If I can't play this at 1440p, I'm gonna crap my bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Last of Us talk. This is our video game discussion for the week.
Yeah, I would talk about other game discussion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was looking at our docket just now. I'm like, I got Persona 4 to talk about.
Yeah,
and then
there's our first video game discussion of 6.
We got D&D.
Anime's been slow, guys.
Yeah, we got D&D. We got I think we got 2 animes. This is just a quick side tangent, Frog, before we talk about D&D.
Yeah.
This corona, the COVID has hit anime so bad this season that I actually finished watching Eighth Son. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Under any other circumstance, Eighth Son, yeah. Under any other circumstance, this anime would not have been watched by me. Like, I would have watched the first 2 episodes and canned it. But the problem is, there were 4 animes going this season, like Baccarina, which is the one about I got reincarnated as villainess, and that's pretty good actually. I would have watched that. But like One Piece has stopped, Digimon has stopped, everything has stopped, and now I'm like, oh, okay, God of Anime is
One Piece
coming out.
and Digimon both stopped?
Yeah, One Piece and Digimon both stopped.
One Piece hasn't stopped in a long time. That's weird.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that 3 months, like, we'll actually see an improvement in the episode pacing.
Yeah.
Unlikely, but I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, all I've been watching really consistently is Kaguya-sama, which has been coming out consistently.
Oh, okay.
One of a few shows that still are.
Yeah, we're so backlogged that we've been watching Violet Evergarden and Shibuya.
You were mentioning that, yeah.
Shibufuyu? Shifububu? The one by Kyoto Animation about that weird chick with the eye patch.
Chunibyo.
Yeah. We can talk about that one, but
I've never watched it, but we can.
It's I've only seen like 2 episodes, and it just frustrates me to no end. Imagine that. I'm pissed at a Moe anime.
Never.
No, never. So talk about D&D, Frog.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think I've made it clear I play D&D a lot on like the show before, but for a long time, maybe since, I want to say like September or something, I've had my personal campaign that I DM on like hiatus for fucking ever. So I started mine back up again just last week, a week from today. Well, we're recording on Sunday. It was last Saturday. Wait, actually, check this calendar too. I'll tell you exactly when it happened. It was the June 20th Saturday. I played D&D again for the first time. Not for the first time, but I restarted it again for the first time with some new a new spirit, I guess I should say. I invited a new player, actually Nicole, who's on the podcast like 2-3 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, she was on 2 episodes ago. 2 episodes ago. Ed of airing, she was 2 episodes back.
Yeah. So, as of airing this 2 episode back or whatever, the one we talk about Redline, she was on there. She played with us. That was fun. She's like a monk character.
That does not make sense for her personality at all.
Are you kidding me? She's like punching people. It's cool.
No. Like, and I know Nicole listens to our episodes. Like, so in our Discord, and I'm just like, I know myself and Mike are horny posters. Like, we absolutely are.
Yeah.
We ain't got a damn thing on Nicole. So, like, out of respect for the monk profession, I would never play a monk. But, like, so I'm sitting there like, Nicole's playing a monk, huh?
Monks are fun, man. Like, you punch. When I think of a monk, I don't really think of like the like kind of holy boy who like is from a temple. I just think of a cool martial arts dude.
That's like a hand-to-hand fighter.
In my mind. Yeah, that's mostly what comes to my mind. When I play a monk, I don't think of him as like some kind of like a meditating guru. I think more of just like more of like just like, oh, I'm a kung fu master or something, or like a karate boy. That's just my interpretation, of course.
I think in Pathfinder they're actually called martial artists, and I think like the more monk-esque class is actually like very close to clerical. I'm not 100% because I don't play Pathfinder as much.
Yeah, I have very very little experience.
But like D&D needs to pretty much be like, hey, remember that monk class? Lol, it's martial artist.
Yeah, basically. I mean, and all because because it's all fucking D&D. It's all for I can't talk today. Interpretation to whoever wants to play it, right? So you can play like a monk and be like a goddamn antichrist if you wanted to. I don't care.
Well, you could be. I think you could be lawful evil. You just have to be like.
The lawful thing isn't even a thing in 5e. It's only in like previous versions.
Oh, really?
In 5e, there's no restrictions like that anymore. Except for, I mean, even then the restrictions can be lifted by the DM. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I'm very.
I mean, D&D is like the most open to homebrew since Fatal, so you can do whatever you want.
So I basically just let people do what they want for the most part. I feel like I'm pretty liberal as a DM. I just kind of, if you want to do this, I'm most likely going to try and find a way for you to do it because I want people to have fun. But that's obviously in certain settings you'd want to restrict things. I understand that.
Yeah, I think I think the most my DM has ever let me do is not making a lawful orc. Because I guess in a lot of D&D lore that orcs tend to either be lawful neutral or lawful evil, because they can get to the tribe structure, which apparently you have to have some semblance of organization and law, and I guess orcs like quickly switch between lawful evil and chaotic evil when they just start rampaging.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you could be chaotic neutral. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the most homebrew I've ever been allowed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little more not trying to bring anyone else down. I guess I just like having more kind of like creative liberty in my stuff. Personally, we actually made a bunch of cool races for it. Do you know what my campaign is? Basically, I mean, you'd probably like it. It's basically just One Piece.
Actually, fun fact: One Piece has a module right now.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be fun. I'd probably do something pretty similar. Basically, it's just like a world that's mostly water, and everyone's pirates.
So it's Pirates of Dark Water.
Yeah, and then they go around and they find different islands. They have wacky adventures on each one, and they move along. It's One Piece.
It's also Pirates of Dark Water, and I'm pretty sure that was actually the plot for the last like 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
I mean, pirate movies. That's basically what pirate movies are. Yeah. Pirate stories. They're pirates who go and get into wacky adventures on different places, and in between they sail, and they have weird, wacky sailing adventures.
I guess the D&D module, because one of my buddies runs like 12 D&D campaigns. He's like, yeah, every other Saturday is Pathfinder. Every other Saturday that isn't that Saturday, we're doing a murder mystery House on Haunted Hill where everybody's a vampire. He's like going down the list. He's like, we're also going to now drop the D&D module because they've moved past D&D. Like they all actually hate D&D now.
Damn.
And they're like, we're including this. We're moving in this One Piece module. We're going to play One Piece. And I was reading through the rules, and the big thing is you can't actually start as a Devil Fruit user.
You gotta find one.
Yeah, you gotta find a Devil Fruit, and if you don't have like the knowledge to know what the Devil Fruit does, because there's actually a giant encyclopedia in universe of the Devil Fruits.
Right.
If you don't know what it does, like you're pretty much like, oh boy, what happened? Oh, I got the soap fruit. Okay.
Now I could spit scrubbing bubbles at people.
Yeah, now I can turn people into scrubby bubbles as long as my willpower is greater than theirs.
You have no fucking idea what you're up against. Yeah.
As long as my opponent doesn't get wet, the one thing that universally counters all devil fruits.
Yeah.
So
then I'm safe.
Yeah, it's with D&D, it's really weird because Pro Jared has like D&D Decembers that he does every year.
Yeah, I saw those.
And that's like when I turn off notifications for Pro Jared. It's like I could not give a crap about other people's D&D adventures.
No, I don't blame you, because I think there's, I guess like lately, in like the last 3-4 years, D&D kind of blew the fuck up like crazy.
Well, you want to have a conversation that I think if Mike was here, he'd be screaming at me right now. I'm steadily getting of the opinion that you should gatekeep your hobbies.
No, I'm not. I'm not with that. I understand the people who want that, but keep the bloodline pure or whatever. But like, nah, it's when I'm into something, I really like seeing new people be interested in it, even if it's kind of frustrating for them to make mistakes. I'd rather correct them on that than keep them from getting into it at all.
Well,
when I like something, I want people to love it as much as I do. So.
Well, there's certain thing I'm okay with people entering hobbies, and there's something I've always done, and I've held very true to this. And for once, like, I tell people to think and do yourself. If you enter a new hobby, do this, please. Like, do it for me, do it for everybody in the hobby. Just do this. If you're interested in a new hobby, go up to people, a lot of tabletop hobbies, and I'll use my example with 40K, because that was the most recent example of it. Mm-hmm. Is I wanted to get into 40K, so I went to the local Alaskan, like, Facebook group, and I was like, hey guys, I'm interested in 40K, but I don't know where to start. Can you guys help me? I'm going to pay for everything myself. I'm going, I'm not asking for handouts. I just want to enter this community. I don't know where to start. Where do I start on the literature? How do I play a game? How do I figure out what race I want to like? Because with 40K, like, if you want to build a full 2,000 point army, you're investing, I play a horde army. That's not fair. You're investing anywhere between about $600 and $1,800 to build a full army without painting it. Yeah. It is nuts.
Warhammer, I remember, I never actually played Warhammer, never owned any, because, like, not because they're expensive, because I never really interested particularly, but I liked the models, because they're cool. But, like, I went to a store one time, and they were like, it's a lot of fucking money.
Well, the inverse is, and I think Games Workshop did this intentionally, is the fantasy version, which is Age of Sigmar. There's not a single army in that game that you can't start and have a full army with like $300. In fact, Age of Sigmar is so accessible that at one point, I think to start a spider army, which is like the Grot Spider Riders was a big thing at one point, and they've kind of replaced it with a bunch of like mushroom-eating psychopaths. It was $300 to build an entire Spider Rider army, and that's nuts, like, for that kind of a game. And that was, I think, 63 models. And you could do it for $300. That's amazing to get into a tabletop game. That's mind-blowingly good, especially for an army building game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that's, but what I was saying is, like, you go in and you're humble and you talk to people and you don't make jokes. Like, the one thing, you can make observational jokes as a beginner and you can be like, oh man, yeah, that's kind of cool that orcs do that, or like whatever race you're interested in. With me, it was orcs. But you do not, under any circumstance, like, try to give your input. If you don't like something about the aspect of the game immediately, sit down and see maybe why that aspect is there.
I feel like that's just like a generally good advice for media when you're consuming something, especially like an important hobby to somebody. Yeah. Just try and be like observant of what. I mean, I think it's fine to critique things, but also just make an effort to understand why they're in place.
Well, the number one that gets a lot of people frustrated is, why are there no female Space Marines? Because and that's the one that gets everybody pissed off, is, why aren't there any female Space Marines? It's like,
just part of the world, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's because the way it is, and I'll just break this down on a very, very low intellect level, just like to make it clear, is the Space Marines are all based off the gene types of one of 18 men.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much like these gene types come from men, and they put them in normal men, and then those men develop the traits of the 18 men that they came from, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, it's very much like these are men made to be men. There are powerful women in 40K. Everybody uses the Sisters of Battles. I don't actually think the Sisters of Battle is a good example, because it's just nuns with guns. But, like, the Drukhari, which are the Dark Elves, like, they have powerful women. The entire Eldar race is nothing but powerful women. You have the Orcs, who are completely agendered, because there's no actual gender to the Orcs. There's no women. And then you have, like, the Genestealer cults, where, like, half their HQs are women. Like, there are powerful women in 40K. You don't need to focus them on, like, hey, why aren't the Space Marines women? Because it doesn't actually work with the lore. You'd have to massively overhaul the entire universe for it to work.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not aware of any of, like, the shit. I do know that, like, I mean, isn't the point of 40K, or at least Warhammer in general, to just be like a really big dumb parody of, like,
fascism?
fascism, imperialism, and shit. Like,
that's kind of what 40K became. Originally, it was kind of an observation on the cultures, because when 40K first started, like, there were a lot of races, but like the orcs were very, very symbolic of like the rockabilly, the British invasion punk rock of the 70s and 80s.
Sure.
And so like there is that, like, it is a giant jab of like why fascism bad. And there's definitely a lot of that. I think it's more like why religious zealotry that bleeds into fascism and like a total theocratic totalitarian state is bad.
It's all kind of adds into it. Yeah. I mean,
so there's why dogma bad. Like there's a lot there. There's a lot going on politics wise. Sigmar is very much less that. Right. Sigmar falls more into the actual fantastical setting where this world isn't big enough for all of us, so let's murder each other.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Like, some settings just like haven't really put politics in mind. I mean, there could be politics within the universe, but usually a lot of them don't actually make statements on real world politics. I guess like D&D's like that. I don't think there's actually
40K does. 40K does.
40K, yeah, no, 40K absolutely does. That's most of what I've heard about it. But like something like D&D, I don't think ever really comments on actual world politics. It's mostly, it has political systems that might like mirror them, but I don't, at least not in my mind, I've never felt that they were like commentaries on them, I guess, you know?
Yeah. But
so
the
I guess
reason,
it really depends on the system.
The reason I'm huge on gatekeeping hobbies, it mostly comes down to I don't mind new people in the hobbies, and everything is supposed to kind of develop and change as time goes on. And I'm even okay, like, I'm okay with inclusivity. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, as ironic as this is, like, I have how many white superheroes? Like, 200, 300 white superheroes? Like, and guess who the two coolest superheroes, in my opinion, are both, like, ethnic minorities, like Cyborg and Blue Beetle. And Blue Beetle was recently, I want to say in, like, the last 20 years, was rewritten to be Latino.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so, like, I'm okay with inclusivity, especially when it's done really well. I got no issue with that. That's not why I'm saying gatekeep hobbies.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying gatekeep hobbies because new money stinks. And a lot of these groups, they want to make more money. Like, Games Workshop is a business. It's not, you know, like a couple of guys sitting around going, hey, we want you to enjoy
I guess
this.
I feel that. Like, all the new boys are going to come in and they're going to make the changes that they want instead of what we like.
That's actually the current state of Pathfinder. When you're talking about D&D getting really, really big, I don't know very many people that I was playing Pathfinder with that I was playing D&D with 15 years ago who still play D&D. They've all moved to Pathfinder.
I mean, that's the thing, right? You can still play old D&D versions if you like them more. I don't really get that.
I'll be honest with you. I don't want to play 3.5 anymore. I don't want to sit down and roll 30 damn times every time somebody swings at me.
I mean, Pathfinder is very complicated, like 3.5 too. Pathfinder is just like 3.5, but like with extra stuff.
Version 2. Yeah, it's 3.5 version 2. That's actually why my two tabletop games at this point are 40K and BattleTech.
Yeah. And
so
I mostly just play 5e. Although we're gonna try and our little group is like gonna try and move on to like a Call of Cthulhu and stuff. And maybe Starfinder.
You might, honestly, for you guys, you really might like Vampire the Masquerade, the actual tabletop game.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it talks about the fact that the one big issue is, and you know in D&D when you're talking about like the alignments like good, evil, lawful, chaotic, stuff like that,
etc.
The problem with Vampire is there's two characters that'll completely break the game if you have them. And one's a Nosferatu, which is it's the clans basically.
Yeah, no, you can't go in the sunlight and shit, can you?
Well, you can't go in the sunlight as a vampire, but Nosferatu can't be seen, or they immediately break the masquerade.
Ugly, they're like actual hideous monsters. They're not they're not like human looking at all.
No, so even in universe, if you have one on your team, it's kind of like, all right, well, we can't go out in public with you. And the other one are Malkarians. They're just. This might be Malkavarian or something, but they're incredibly difficult to play because they are actually insane. And I haven't looked too deeply into the gameplay, but you actually like have to figure out how your character is insane, and you have to actively roleplay that character. So like if you have a group of like diplomats and you have a Malkarian with you and he's walking around and he's like, you have to actually like go up and sabotage the mission knowing that's not going to do well for your team, but you have to stay in character. Yeah. You have to go up to like a lady countess vampire and be like, you got cyanides for your titties, and then like slap her across the chest and run out of the room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's anything else you had for D&D though?
I mean, not really. For the most part, I just want to talk about I just wanted to talk about how it's cool to be back in the shoes of kind of planning things again, because I've been playing D&D since the entire time. I've been in other campaigns, like my friends' campaigns. I play my hero character's like a what we call him a falcon. It's like a custom race we made. It's just like a frog dude, but his legs got blown off, so now he has robo legs, and it's cool. But no, I was just kind of having fun making I drew a little map for the world, showing all the different islands and stuff. I've kind of developed more stuff about the villains. It's just in general, I've fleshed things out more. I have a lot of plans for it, but I know I have players who are going to listen to the show, so I'm not going to say too much about it.
Yeah,
but
well, it's.
I was going to say I was going to stream it, but I'm not going to stream those, so never mind.
D&D never goes well for me. It's really bad. My wife does not like role playing, so we very rarely, if ever, play tabletop games.
Well, that's not going to work. If she doesn't like role playing, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, it's her opinion is she will play Divinity 2. My wife will play Divinity. She'll play games like Mass Effect and whatnot. And she loves Monster Hunter more than anything. But she is of the opinion that we have moved past the need for a lot of pen and paper RPGs because computer gaming has gotten good enough that you can do it without that.
I don't respect that. No.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see where she's coming from.
I mean, yes, there's a great amount of cool video games that kind of fill a role playing niche, but it's not the same thing as getting a bunch of pals together and making your own thing up. You can't just do that with a computer. You can't just go with a computer and make anything.
That's true. You do have to. Actually, one of the things is I was using Megamech Labs, which oh my gosh. So BattleTech is huge. They have never released a new edition of BattleTech. They've just added rules to it, and the game has been going for 35 years.
Damn.
So they have this thing where if you want to run a campaign, they actually have a program that does it. And I think I'm pretty savvy when it comes to pen and paper. I can't use this program to save my life. I can build mechs, and I can kind of run them in simulations, but I cannot run a campaign through this program to save my life. Because this campaign is you have to have one dedicated mech tech per mech. You have to have X many mechs working on it. And by the way, while you're flying from one jump point to another to take a contract, one of your techs can blow up a component in your mech that you paid millions of C-bills for. And it's just your mech is more destroyed before you even end up into the battle than it would be before, after a battle, because your techs are impossible to control.
Yeah.
I'm I don't want to play this anymore. This is just Dwarf Fortress with extra steps, and I didn't think that was possible.
Dude, I can't play that game. That game's scary.
Dude,
I've tried playing DF, but it's just so much to think about.
I'm still of the mindset, because I've been around the internet since before Dwarf Fortress, but even I'm still waiting for the GUI release.
It seems like a really good thing that I would like, because my super ADHD brain always has something to do in that game, and there's always something to look at and think about. But it's just it takes so much. It's such a huge learning curve, I guess.
I think there's actually a Twitter account dedicated to it's dedicated to patch notes of Dwarf Fortress out of context.
Yeah,
and it's stuff where it's children can no longer score fatal hits against vampires. And it's what?
Yeah, wait, I got Dwarf Fortress patch notes.
Yeah.
Stopped cats from dying of alcohol poisoning after walking over damp tavern floors and cleaning themselves.
Wait, what? Well, it's patch notes Twitter. Is it a Twitter account?
It's called Dwarf Fortress patch notes, yeah.
Gosh dang it. It's a bot.
Yeah, it's a bot.
Just stop dwarves from silently dissolving their marriages when they make a close friend. Made install colony jobs respect each other's targets. You should avoid boxing them if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good account.
That's great. Yeah, moving to story time. Do you have anything that happened this week or this last month or any big events, Frog?
Oh, right, you want me to talk about... Yeah, okay. So, as of June 17th, I am officially done with my college program, and now I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do in my life.
You have a degree now.
I do have a degree in programmation.
In programming? Okay, I thought you actually went with graphic arts, and I was going to make the McDonald's joke.
No, that was... that was before we started the podcast. I finished that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had 1 year in graphic design, Before we started recording this, I think actually we started recording this right after I finished my first year of this course, and I just finished the second and last one. It's a 2-year course that was a lot more like packed in and shit.
Yeah.
And it's over. Now I'm looking for. Hey, you know what? If anyone wants to hire me to make their website, hire me. Call me.
I have not done web design since I was 16, and HTML4 was still a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually not very good at it yet. But if you want to hire me to do something at your company, here's my really fucking weird application. But no, I had a pretty decent time. Obviously, it was cut a little bit short in terms of, the whole COVID thing has made it a little strange, basically, because the last half of the year was done all inside in my house.
Yeah. Well,
weird, but I mean, I guess it works pretty well for my degree, considering I just sit at a computer all day anyway. So it's whatever.
Well, I hope to hear, like, when you start getting crunch time and Druckmann comes and preys on you and says, "Frog, I need you to program me having graphic sex with myself, Frog. Here's the mocap suit. Put it on, Frog. The hole in the butt is natural, Frog. Don't worry about it."
Yes, Mr. Druckmann. Anything for Mr. Druckmann.
So I got security called on me at one of the hospitals I work on the other day.
Oh yeah, I think you said that. Yeah, did you say that last week? I'm not sure.
No, I didn't. I was so mad though. I think my wife and I were on like Neon Genesis Evangelion episode like 15 or something, and I'm on call last week, so it's fine. Like I'm the guy who has to take the calls that week. It happens. We do. There's 5 of us, so I only have to do it like once every 5 weeks. But it was my week, and sure enough, like day 1, Monday of my week, an MRI at one of my major hospitals goes down, and I hate this hospital.
Right.
And I don't hate the hospital because like I service probably 6 pieces of equipment at that hospital. So like I like the hospital on paper because I like the people, but they're partnered with a bigger hospital in Oregon. Like it's just a satellite hospital for this one in Oregon. And right now with COVID, a lot of hospitals are on like super lockdown right now.
Right.
And it's fine. For the most part, I have a vendor badge that gets me anywhere I need to go, and they'll just ask me, like, they'll scan my chest, and they'll be like, okay, you're good. You don't have a fever. And I'm like, good. But this site, they call me at 9:00 at night. And they're like, okay, come on, Moth, you gotta get in. I'm like, okay, I'll go fix the magnet. So I walk in, and after 9:00, the only way to get into that hospital is through the ER. And I'm in a bad mood because, it's 9:00 at night. I gotta get up in 11 hours, and I got no idea how long this job is going to take me.
Right.
Sorry, I got to get up in like 10 hours because I wake up at 7. So I get on site, and I walk through the front door of the ER, and sure enough, they're ready to scan me, and I'm like, hey, I'm Moth. I'm here to work on the MRI. I don't have any fever. I haven't been out of state in the last 2 weeks. I have self-quarantined. I got a swab last week, actually, and it came up negative. I'm just here to work on the magnet. This MR tech called me in. This is what's going on. Well, right. She looks at me, and normally this gets me into every hospital, vendor badge or not. Like, the fact that I know exactly what I'm doing gets me in. This one was like, where's your vendor badge? I'm like, I don't have one. She's like, you don't? I'm like, no, you guys have the worst security on the planet. Like, getting a vendor badge from you is impossible. And she looks at me, she goes, we can't let you in without a vendor badge. I'm like, okay, I'm going to call MR right now, and I want you to explain to them why their magnet's not getting fixed. I'm in the wrong, by the way. Like, I am 100% in the wrong in this story. Here's the thing. Every other hospital, I go to their radiology director and I say, hey, I need a vendor badge to work on your equipment. And they give me they go and they take me to HR, and I get a funny picture taken because I've never taken a straight like my military ID on the Air Force Base in Anchorage. I've gotten yelled at by so many officers for looking like a jackass in that picture. Because I think in that picture, I literally have my finger up my nose. Oh my God. And I've been stopped by like E9s, and they've been like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I'm like, well, I don't work for you, so back the hell up, Skippy.
Just gonna paw, get my driver's license.
No, it's honest. Yeah, that's what you can get away with. And I've actually said that to people on military bases before. They're like, that ID looks like crap. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't report to you, so piss off. And I've said that to people's faces before, and they can't do anything. Like, the most they can do is call security, and then they waste my time, and then I get to go, okay, I bill, and I don't actually bill this, but like my parent company, like, we bill $200 an hour for wasted time. Do you want to compensate me right now? And I've dropped that threat once, the guy disappeared. But, yes, like even this military base, I literally have walked down and I've said, hey, these are the departments I need to get into. Please give me a badge. And they give me a badge, and it's no issue. This hospital, for about 3 years, I was getting a badge with them. Like, I've worked at this company for 7 years. For the first, 3 years, I was getting a badge. And what I would have to do is, every 3 months, my badge would expire because they would go with different vendors for security. Like, oh, now this company. And they would, change the wall locks every time, too. So it was nuts. These guys were pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars into security. So, every 3 months, I would have to go downstairs into the basement of this hospital there's no windows. And if the guy didn't feel like working that day, the guy in charge of handing out badges, I would have to come back another day. It's not uncommon for me to work 60 hours a week without this kind of stuff happening.
Jeez.
So, you go down and you have to sit there and read a pamphlet, and then you have to take a test while the guy watches you. And then he grades the test, and if you fail, he tells you to come back tomorrow. And so it's I need to emphasize how difficult it is to get a badge through these people. So after 3 years, I just stopped trying. I was like, this isn't worth it. 9 times out of 10, I just walk straight into radiology because it's before 5 o'clock at night. And I just fix the stuff and leave. It's not that hard. Well, I get security called on me that night. And security is right next to ER. And the guy pulls me into his office and he looks at me and goes, you do have a vendor badge. I'm like, yeah, I do. He goes, it expired in 2017. I'm like, yep. And he's like, why didn't you get a new one? And I'm like, well, because I don't have time to sit in a basement for 4 hours to get a badge that expires every 3 months. I can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. I'm way too overworked as it is to deal with your crappy little politics. I just walk into the department. He goes, that's against policy. And I'm like, I'm sure it is, and I apologize, but you guys don't make this easy. This is nonsensical for me as a vendor. And he goes, well, I can't let you into the MRI. And so I pulled the same crap with him. I said, okay, I'm going to call MRI right now, and you're going to talk to them. You're going to explain to them their magnet that makes them a boatload of money every day. You're going to tell them why that magnet's not working. And I'm going to go home and keep watching anime with my wife. Well, that really pissed him off, but it got me into the magnet. So the guy's pissed the entire time as he's escorting me to MRI.
Right.
And I don't think anything of it. I'm just whatever. And I end up working till almost 1 in the morning. I think I actually got home at 2 in the morning. And at 7 o'clock, my phone is blowing up. And it's my boss. And he's like, what the hell did you do? I was like, what do you mean specifically? I've pissed off a lot of people in the last few days. He's like, I got the imaging director of this hospital up my ass. And I'm like, oh, is he glad that I fixed his magnet last night? He's like, no. He's like, he's pissed because security wrote 3 formal complaints about you.
Oh boy.
He's like, they wrote a formal complaint for MRI, for allowing a unregistered vendor to work on their equipment, which that's a load of garbage because I'm the only person in the state registered to work on that equipment. Yeah. He's like, they let, an unregistered vendor on. They basically threw every complaint they could at me and drove up such a stink because I was being such a dick to these guys. They're basically you're not allowed back in that hospital until you basically get your vendor credentials. And I was like, okay, so all right. So I basically like pissed off an entire hospital because I did my job.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but like, how pathetic are you as a security department that you have to like, you have nothing going on, that you have to write up a vendor who's actively trying to make your life easier?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been kind of not a fan of like formalities like that. They're just like,
yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I understand it's like all for organization's sake. I mean, you were in the wrong, but at the same time,
I absolutely was in my wrong. And the next day, because
But I do agree with you that like I fucking hate having to like, you need like your fucking you got a license for that, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, I do have a license for it. Actually,
yeah,
I am actually certified to work on all their equipment.
You need the license.
Yeah, and it's I tried that stunt the next day because it was a 2-day job to fix the MRI. And I walked into the main hospital, and somebody must have made them aware of who I was because security was like waiting for me to come in. He's like, sir, you can't come in until you have vendor credentials. I'm like, all right. And this time I was pissed. I was like, we had this song and dance yesterday. I'm like, you can let me in or your magnet could stay down. Like, I'm not going to play this game. And I wasn't playing it last night. I'm not playing it now. Let me in or the magnet stays down and I'm leaving. Yeah. And the guy actually put his hand on his taser and goes, I need you to leave the premise and not come back until you have a vendor certificate.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. And I called my boss and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed back on the site. I don't know why they're doing this. This is insane. And I'm not kidding. Like, I can walk onto my local military base.
Yeah.
I just walk the hell on and nobody asks me any questions. As long as you have a multimeter in your hand, nobody cares what you're doing. And I've actually proven this. I've walked around I've walked around the Air Force Base. I left my badge in like an MR control room and walked down to the cafeteria with a multimeter in my hand, like past 4 officers, and nobody even questioned me.
Yeah, I believe it.
And this hospital, because they're partnered with Oregon, is insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess they just want to do their job, right?
But I don't know. It frustrates me.
I mean, yeah, of course it'd be frustrating, but at the same time, it is just kind of what you're supposed to do.
But it's not a federal policy. That's the thing. Like,
oh man,
if it was a federal policy, I would complain and I would gripe and I'd whine about it. But I would go do it because I would literally have to. It's not even required by local law.
I don't know. Company policy, I guess, or like that specific place's policy, or what have you.
So it's nuts. Like, and the native hospitals up here in Alaska aren't even that bad. And the native hospitals have the tightest security I think I've seen. Like, I have to get COVID swabbed every time I go into a native hospital.
Yeah.
And that is so much fun. I don't know if I sent you guys that video, but like, that is just the most aggravating thing you can have happen to you.
I don't think so.
They jam a cotton swab all the way back to your sinuses.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's like you're sitting there hacking and gagging the entire time, and it's just making it worse.
I don't like that.
So, yeah, that's the security story. One thing I wanted to talk about, Frog, did you play any of the Persona games? I don't know.
Not a one. Okay. I have very little. I have friends who played it in high school, and they're big fans of that shit. But no, I don't care for RPGs 99% of the time.
No,
as
that's
I've made
fair.
very clear on Twitter.com.
No, you're good. The one thing I wanted to talk about today, because I think we could pretty much wrap up game talk after this. To the surprise of nobody, like Persona 4G has finally been ported to PC, and I think porting Persona 4 Golden to PC was the best decision they could have made.
I mean, it's your favorite one, right?
Well, yes, and for good reason. I actually look at these. I know it seems weird, but I actually look at a lot of things objectively. And I genuinely think Persona 4 Golden was the best Persona game they could have brought to PC.
I don't think I believe in objective quality for stuff like that, but
well
unless it's like literally non-functioning, like I guess like glitches are an objective flaw, unless you think of them in a weird way. But
we had Mike pretty much confirm last episode that Persona 3 is so fragmented as a game that you can't like. Do you want to import Persona 3 for the PS2? Do you want to import like Persona 3 Portable, which is missing a lot of content? Like, basically like, you can't do that with Persona 3. Persona 1 is a glorified Shin Megami Tensei game, which you have to be dedicated to play that game. And then Persona 2 and Persona 2 Innocent Sin, which I think is the sequel. There's like 2 Persona 2s. One's called like Guilty Virtue, and the other one's called like Innocent Sin or something. That's also very fragmented and confusing for a player base. And Persona 5 Royal, I think is still technically slated as a Sony exclusive. They can't sell it to another console for a bit. So their best choice was literally Persona 4 Golden. There was no other Persona game they could have brought over.
Yeah. Also, it's the one that's most popular too, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and
it's like the big one.
Yeah, and objectively, it's the best one. I mean, as far as like, I would say Persona 5 had a lot of better things.
I mean, Persona 5 has a really cool like aesthetic. I'll give it that. I don't know much about it, but I like the music in that one. I like the way it looks. That's about all I can say. Hello?
Yeah, no. I hear you. I just I'm getting yelled at right now. If you can't hear.
Fantastic. No, I can't.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I had a technical difficulty in the form of my wife.
She is a machine.
To yell at me. No, she is not.
She is a mechanical android. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. Like,
I constantly
have this conversation with my wife. I'm like, just so you know, like, if I can ever gene splice myself, I don't care what happens, but I will gene splice myself in a heartbeat. If I can replace my arms with aluminum, I will. Heartbeat, no questions asked. Like, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's not even a question. I will become a machine in a heartbeat.
I will become frog.
Yeah, back to the Persona games. 5, it's really interesting to me. I remember Yahtzee on Zero Punctuation when he was talking about Portal 1 versus Portal 2. And he said, well, Portal 2 had more time, effort, love, care, technical power. Portal 2 had way more put into it than Portal 1. Portal 1, and he's like, and Portal 1 cut more corners than a Circle Factory. He's like, I think Portal 1's a better game. And that's how I feel about Persona 4 Golden versus Persona 5 Royal. And I've played them both. Like, I've actually played the 3 main Persona games, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah,
I refuse to go back to 1. Well, they're Shin Megami. Like, at the end of the day, Persona 1, 2, and 2.5 are Shin Megami Tensei. There's no question about it. But Persona 5 has better level design. It has a more interesting world to explore overall, because Persona 4 still did what the previous games did, where all the dungeons were procedurally generated.
Right.
The way you recruit personas is more interesting. Like, almost everything about Persona 5 is better. Like, everything has been expanded on.
Every technical aspect to it is like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Persona 4 is still a better game.
I get that. I understand that. Like, I'm trying to think of like an example. Portal's a pretty good example. Although I think Portal 2 I think is a great game too.
Well, it's at the end of the day, like, Portal 2 has more to offer you, but Portal 1 is still the better game. And
I think I go back to Portal 2 a lot more often than Portal 1 though.
That's fair. I'm trying to think of another example, because it's also unfair, because Persona 4 is like, you can't say it's like sequel syndrome, because Persona 4 is the 4th game and Persona 5 is the 5th game. I think the best example of that is saying, hey, Final Fantasy 7 is better than 8.
Yeah.
Or Final Fantasy 4 is better than 5.
I mean,
like
sure.
And this is actually apples to apples, because it's the same company. It uses a lot of the same ideas and a lot of the same technology and whatnot.
I don't think Square made Persona.
No. But like, these are the same games. Like, this is comparing 7 to 8, 4 to 5. Like, so, but I'm actually really worried about Persona 4 Golden, and the reason is like, and I think I was posting this on my Twitter. It was cracking me up. I went to the Steam discussions, which I literally never do.
Yeah, like what?
Because I'm so scared for Persona 4 right now, and it was so great because people were like having conversations like, so when are we going to have a pregnancy mod added to the game?
Yeah.
And it was like, is Nanako really 6? Because she got me feeling funny. And like, right now, and I from like the time Persona was released, for about 2 weeks, I think we're kind of in the golden age of Persona 4 Golden coming to PC. And it's because like the memes are being made by people who loved Persona on the Vita or the PS2. The memes are being made by people who love the game. The content, like, but like, we're going to have the people who have never played the game, and they'll be beating it about this time. I think the first time I played Persona 4 Golden, I played it for 2 weeks straight, and it took me 2 weeks straight to beat the game. And that was like, I would get back from class at 4 p.m, and I would play that game from like 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So like 6-hour time chunk, I would play this game, and it took me 2 weeks to beat it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, in about a week or so, like probably a week from the episode airing, if not the week the episode airs, people will have digested it, and they're gonna start talking about it now, because this is like, Persona 4 Golden is the big granddaddy RPG. It's the game that, like, hey, your older brother talked about, and now you get to play it for the first time. And I think we're going to have a lot of people who miss a lot of the points of Persona 4 talking about it, and we're going to have a lot of people who go into the conversation about, oh, one of the characters is trans. One of the characters is gay.
Oh, yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff about that. I know basically nothing about Persona. But I've still heard
Nato's
like, shit on the side of like, yeah, Naoto's like isn't she just a girl? Like, she says she's
a girl. Well, yeah, she's a girl and she accepts being a girl.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you could discuss here. What was really funny, Japan pulled a really funny almost joke with the character interactions, because there's a character, Kanji, who enjoys feminine things like sewing.
Sure.
That's actually his huge character arc, because he loves sewing.
Yeah.
And he wants to be viewed as hyper masculine, so he can be like basically his dad for his mom, so he can be like so he can be the man of the house. But his hyper masculinity gets challenged because he finds Naoto super attractive. He's like the first one to kind of feel subconsciously she's a girl. And he gets confused because, like, I can't be gay. I have to be a man. And, like, the entire character arc is he's attracted to a girl, but he thinks he's gay. And the girl she does have some gender identity issues. And so it's in my opinion, it's actually, like, really brilliant storytelling, the way they have these two characters interact with each other.
Yeah.
And it's going to get poo-pooed. It's going to get poo-pooed by Smooth Brains.
I'm sure if it happened once, it'll probably happen again. So, you know.
It's happened twice now. And then every couple of months, I'll just go on Twitter and someone will have drawn, like, Naoto as a black man and be like, I'm trans, yo.
I don't understand. I mean, I don't, like, with stuff like that, I don't find them harmful interpretations. I just find it very strange and not. I mean, it's whatever.
Well, I mean, to me, it's no different than the people who draw porn of characters. Like,
yeah,
you have the ability to artistic expression liberation. That doesn't mean we're going to acknowledge you.
I mean, it's like, I don't really get it. I don't understand why you've drawn Deku as, like, a Hispanic, like, 6 foot tall, buff Chad Lee, and then, like, I don't know, what's another character from My Hero? I haven't watched that show in ages.
Bakugo?
Sure,
literally
Bakugo is
his
like a
alter
3
ego
foot
Bakugo?
tall, black, like, I don't know, woman now. It's like, okay, like, whatever, right? But I'm just confused, I guess. I understand that people want, like, representation, but, like, and
My Hero?
I don't know.
I can't actually speak on representation. I realize that I don't have a lot of place to talk about that because I've been represented for years.
Basically where I'm at. I just think it's kind of weird, but, like, I don't find any harm in it. I guess is basically where I draw the line. I'm just like, okay, like, I don't like care for this, but I'm not going to stop you.
You know what's really bad is I complained about poor representation of my heritage for the longest time. I was like, man, can I have a movie where Germans aren't viewed as Nazis? Like, can I have a movie where the German guy isn't either a Nazi or eugenicist?
Yeah.
And then my wife and I, like, watched Django Unchained the other day for the first time. And have you seen that?
No.
It has. They brought Christopher Waltz back, the guy who was the Nazi in Inglourious Bastards. They brought him back, and he's like Django's trainer who, like, teaches him how to be a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And it was like the single most glorious role I've ever seen a German man in. I loved that role for him so much. It was so fun to see, and it was so refreshing to see a German who isn't, like, a eugenicist. It didn't help the fact that he was still a doctor.
Should just, I don't know. Just go on YouTube.
I should have been happy when I was ahead.
There's like a German guy who plays Minecraft, probably. Go watch Minecraft.
No, it's the Slingshot channel.
Oh, that guy is German, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But yeah, so Persona 4 is out, and I'm in the heyday of memes. I'm enjoying it. In about a week or so, people are going to be stupid about it.
Yeah, that's games. That's video games.
Now, to wrap up our podcast and actually talk about things.
Oh yeah, we got. Is there anime? Hang on.
Yeah, like I said, I've been so backlogged, not even backlogged. I've been so ahead of the backlog now that I'm just finding stuff to watch. Violet Evergarden. Have you seen it, Frog?
I've not seen it, but I've heard mixed reviews, basically.
Okay, I will save it for Mike because Mike will go absolutely insane.
Sure,
I've had no issue, like, plowing through everything Mike loves this episode, but I will get so much more of a reaction from him as I complain about Violet Evergarden than anything else that I'm willing to wait.
Sure.
But there's a cat anime that just released on Netflix. Don't watch it.
I hadn't planned on it. You'd shown me before we recorded. Like, you mentioned it like a quick second. I looked it up and it didn't seem like my shtick.
Yeah, I actually have to go back 2 episodes and apologize for crapping on all of the Miyazaki movies. Because the whole time I was watching this, A Whisker Away, I think that's what it's called, my wife and I were bored. My wife loves cats, and she was bored.
Right. I mean,
like,
you can stick cats on anything and make it good. So.
Yeah, it's this movie was such a bargain bin, Spirited Away. It was kind of like when the Cars movie came out, and, like, all the companies in Latin America were, like, making their cheap spin-off of Cars, and you could get it at Redbox and only at Redbox. Like, that's how A Whisker Away felt. It was a heavily discounted Miyazaki film.
Yeah.
The characters were unlikable. There was not really good development or characters. Like, there was Deus Ex Machinas everywhere. And there was stuff that just doesn't make sense. Like, towards the end of the movie, she gets stuck as a cat, and the boy that she's interested in comes to rescue her. And he just gets, like, his hands get turned into cat paws and nothing else. And nobody explains why that happened to him. Just like they go, oh, your hands turn into cat paws. He's like, this is weird. And then they just keep walking.
I guess this is my life now.
Yeah, basically. It's just, the whole movie was so painfully bad to watch. I feel bad saying Spirited Away was a walking simulator, because even though it is, like, I remember there are like 4 or 5 parts that I can vividly remember.
I mean, I haven't watched that movie. I've heard it's very good, but like, I mean, there can be good walking simulators.
Well, I haven't watched Spirited Away in over a decade, and yet I still clearly remember the boiler room scene.
Yeah, there you go.
I still clearly remember the baby scene.
Yeah.
I remember the scene with the bathhouse where they got No Face that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I remember the scene where her parents become pigs. Like, I remember a lot of that movie vividly. I've seen it twice in my whole life, maybe 3 times. I haven't seen it in over a decade, and I remember a ton of it. I watched A Whisker Away last night, and I have no idea what the hell happened.
Yeah.
I know that there is a cat.
Hey, that's how I felt about Tower of God.
It's fine. Dude, there's nothing to watch this season. Just let me watch Tower of God. There's nothing.
There really isn't.
Let me watch Korean Hunter x Hunter, please.
Is that what you call it? I mean, alright.
Yes, I call it Korean Hunter x Hunter.
There's also another webcomic that's getting an anime next season, I think.
Oh, High School.
The God of High
School.
School. It's a very odd name. It sounds like it's going to be shit, but I don't know.
I will tell you right now, something that's been killing me is I really, really want to watch Baki. I love Baki.
Watch Baki?
I've watched like the first 5 episodes of the first season.
Yeah, go watch
I got to the point where Spec like jammed the bullets in that dude's mouth and then like knee kicked him.
Yeah.
And that was like, that show is great. It is everything I want in an anime. It's almost as good as Golden Kamui.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife hates it. And if I'm not with my wife, I'm not watching visual media at all.
Just do it.
No, and especially not anime. Like, when I paint my models and my miniatures, I'll have like Red Letter Media playing in the background. I can't do that with anime because I don't listen to dubbed anime. And Baki deserves your respect. Baki deserves you sitting down and watching it.
I wasn't a huge fan of what I seen of Baki, but it looks fun. It's definitely a certain crowd. I mean, I love Kengan Ashura, which is directly inspired by Baki, just a lot different. So I don't know.
By the way, I actually went back and was reading, not actually reading, but there are the scenes in How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift?
Yeah.
There are scenes where they talk about like the proper form to do each workout.
Yeah.
And I was reading, because somebody basically uploaded only the pages where they talk about how to do the proper form of any given workout.
Yeah.
They toned that stuff way down for the anime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. I read that manga like ages ago. That manga's fucking horny, dude. Holy shit.
Dude, that's
like, hey, you want to see like the clit imprint on the yoga pants? Here you go, boys.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really funny. I was talking to my wife because right now, believe it or not, we are actually in tune with what goes on. We're not a bunch of like old fogies who only talk about anime. Like, we do pay attention to what happens on Twitter and whatnot. Like the whole thing where it's like goth IHOP and all that stuff.
Yeah, fanboy Hooters and shit.
Which, by the way, there's a lot of this that I don't get. I'll admit, like, Fanboy Hooters kind of made sense to me because, like, oh, yeah, Hooters, let's flip it on its head, let's Rule 63 Hooters. I get it, right?
Yeah.
And I get stuff like Ara Arby's. And I get PvP-enabled Popeyes.
And Monster Girl McDonald's.
Yeah, and those are clever because they use the first letter of the company, or they do something pertaining, they do alliteration. But then you have stuff like Goth IHOP. I mean, MILF Denny's. Like,
I mean, the first one was that. Fanboy Hooters is the origin point, and it didn't do that.
No, it was, and then Tomboy Outback. Like, we all love that one. We all love the idea of Outback Steakhouse, but like, and we all love Tomboys, but like, Tomboy Outback doesn't make sense. Like, it has no method or rhyme or reason to it, so it drives me nuts.
It's
like,
not that deep.
If someone wants to be like Mommy Dom Dairy Queen, I get that. I can associate Dairy Queen with like mommy's fetishes for obvious reasons. But like, I can't draw a correlation between Outback Steakhouse and Tomboys.
You have to understand that memes just drown into a point of absurdity, and that it's reached that point
it's getting to that point.
I mean, it was already at that point with Femboy Hooters because it's a silly thing. But like, you can see,
but it's
when you
Rule
expand
63
on a thing,
Hooters.
I mean, yeah, basically. But, well, not even that, because Rule 63 Hooters would just be like buff himbos. Like Himbo.
That's true.
What's a funny Himbo one? What's an H restaurant?
Well, you'd have to think of like a place, Himbo Hardee's.
Yeah.
There we go. We had like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, an alliteration. But But back to tomboys. Tomboys have been kind of a fetish for a long. Like tomboys have been a fetish since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like even when I'm 9 years old, 10 years old, and we're talking about the girls we like in class, I can tell you right now, the girl I liked the most was the one that gave me a black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, like tomboys have been around forever. What's weird is very rarely in anime do I see the people that people often waifu as the tomboy. Like, oh my gosh, she's the tomboy. And I go and I look at her character. I'm like, there's nothing
short hair and
tomboy about her.
Yeah.
Like, well, like what's the one from Idolmaster that everybody says is a tomboy?
Oh, Mio Honda is not a tomboy.
Yeah, she's not a tomboy.
She's got short hair. That's all she got.
You know who actually are tomboys? Half the characters from Dumbbells.
Yeah.
Like the main girl, the Gyaru girl, she's very much a tomboy.
Yeah.
The girl who runs the boxing gym is a tomboy.
The girl with the abs, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the Russian chick could be borderline considered a tomboy.
Yeah.
Like they were actual tomboys.
Yeah.
The whole people who meet the tomboy criteria are like
no,
Ryoko
people say they like
Tenchi.
tomboys. Half the time, they just mean they like that they don't wear dresses.
Yeah, they like busty, short-haired women.
Pretty much.
That's not a tomboy. That's
just a style.
Yeah, so I hate that thing where like even weebs are like I love tomboys, and then I look at what they call a tomboy, and none of them are tomboys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like good examples in anime of tomboys, like because gosh dang it, the one with the yandere or the tsundere, the one tiger.
Oh,
gosh, why can't
Taiga.
Yeah, not Taiga, but the other girl. The girl on the baseball team.
I don't remember. I didn't watch very much of the show, but
yeah, but like if you're gonna talk about like tomboys, like the baseball playing girl from that. Why can't I not remember Tiger and I keep thinking Tiger and Bunny, but it was Tiger and Dragon.
Fucking Toradora.
Toradora, there we go. Thank you. So people know that we're like on the same brainwave and we can't think of the anime. The Tom girl in Toradora is not Tora, it's the baseball girl.
Yeah.
Like it's you guys, you need to understand the fetishes you're talking about, please. Like give actual tomboys. Like please just don't be like, "Oh, this girl's tomboy because she has short hair and big tits." Like please go find actual tomboys in your media.
Yeah, I mean, this you should gatekeep because it's just a misclassification.
Yeah, like honestly, half the cast in Sailor Moon are tomboys.
Yes.
Actually, no, just Mars and I would say.
I was just gonna agree.
Neptune.
I never watched Sailor Moon, so I was gonna agree no matter what you said.
I was gonna say like Mars and Jupiter. There we go. Mars and Jupiter are both the tomboys in Sailor Moon, in my opinion. Yeah, dude, Jupiter's best. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I never watched that show.
And like that's the thing. Tomboys stop being tomboys once they graduate high school. At that point, they just kind of become loudmouth women.
The best kind.
What did somebody say in one of our discords? When tomboys have kids, they just become soccer moms.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yep, that's the
oranges,
fate.
You know.
Yep. So yeah, I cannot iterate enough. Like, please don't call Mio Honda a tomboy.
Yeah,
she's not. What are the other ones that people have been calling tomboys?
I don't know. It's not. I don't really know anything more about tomboys. I know people will call like things that aren't whatever they are as whatever they are. Like people will call like scene girls goth and shit, which is really strange.
Yeah, scene was. I don't, because I grew up during the time of scene girls. Like my entire high school career was pretty much like the rise and fall of scene girls.
My only girlfriend was a scene girl. Yeah.
Wait, I thought scene was dead.
I mean, yeah, but who cares?
Like, I thought scene was primarily a Midwestern thing in America.
I mean, it's just everywhere.
You could actually, like, classify what a scene girl was because she was bubblegum gothic. Like, she only bought her clothes from Hot Topic. Like, that was the thing. She would, like, buy gothic clothes, but only from Hot Topic. She spent a lot of time on her hair. Generally, her hair was two-tone with black.
Well, I guess when you think
being
of
one
scene,
tones.
I guess you'd think of, like, 2006 scene, which is like the big dyed hair and the but you know, I guess she wasn't like that, but I know what I mean. Maybe I'm misclassifying
the reason it was
again.
called,
like, maybe I'm also a victim of this fucking mentality.
Well, it was called Scene because you had MySpace, and MySpace was where a bunch of musicians were getting their start. That was like Hollywood Undead, the Medic Droid, DJS3RL. Like, that was when a lot of those guys were getting big, and that was like the scene. Is they're like, oh my gosh, have you listened to this new band? I found their MySpace. It's called Mouth of the Horse. And it's just like, it was finding the most off-the-wall, borderline industrial bands on the planet and liking it because it gave you some form of personality. Yeah. That was Scene.
Yeah.
And then you had the weird Scene kids that are like, I'm straight edge. I will never have sex until I get married. I won't do drugs. And then they get railed by like a 30-year-old bassist later that week.
Bassist. Yeah.
I honestly blame Fall Out Boy for Scene.
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco's a Fever you can't sweat out, and then that allowed like stuff like Bowling for Soup and whatnot to just take their transition.
Yeah, I kind of missed the boat on a lot of that weird shit. I guess I guess you don't really notice it while it's happening, maybe. But
well, we miss a boat on a lot of stuff. Like, I was talking to a content creator who's 7 years older than me the other day, and I won't give out his information because I kind of like to let him keep their privacy. He's been on Newgrounds since, like, Tom Fulp started it in 98. Mm-hmm. I got on Newgrounds in 2002, which was, like, the first, I would almost say, big renaissance of Newgrounds was, like, 2002, because that's when, like, a lot of the content creators we know got started.
Right.
Like, that's when Dan Paladin started doing stuff. That's like when Tom Fulp really started doing stuff. That's when Newgrounds started becoming what it was. And it's like, but I missed the 98 years. I missed 98. I missed 99. And then I tell kids, I'm like, yeah, when I got on Newgrounds, the #1 most viewed Flash animation was called Donkey Punch Britney Spears. And it was like Michael Jordan poorly photoshopped, like rotating on an axis, so his fist like kept punching Britney Spears in the head, while In the End by Linkin Park was playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like that, if you want to talk about like, oh yeah, I want to go back and I want to see that, where like the most viewed and upvoted video was the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny.
I mean, that's a good time.
Yeah, I get it, but like you're living in a generation right now, Frog, where you guys are seeing the huge creation of a ton of content. Like, ride that wave.
It's weird, yeah. I mean, I'm of the opinion, because I've been around on the internet for a while, even though I'm obviously young. I'm not as long as you, I guess, but at least I've been on it for as long as I can remember. And
yeah, I mean,
even within my
like
relatively short time, you see a ton of evolution over time. Like,
I will say, speaking of gatekeeping hobbies, I am so mad the average human being can get on the internet now. Like, I actually despise Twitter, and I'm gonna flat out say this: 90% of the people on the internet right now I cannot stand, because you are, and I'm not talking about you, Frog, and I'm not talking about our audience, but I'm gonna say the word you. I'm gonna say you are people who never achieved anything at life, who, because you live in a first world country or something, think you have an opinion that matters, and you go on Twitter and you get followers for whatever reason, and you make loud contents, and you make everything so combative, and you get on these bandwagons where you cancel people for stepping out of line, and you do all of these terrible things. You like, I talk to internet veterans, like, and I hate using that word because it sounds so boomerish, but like, I talk to people all the time. The internet sucks. It sucks so much worse than it ever used to.
I don't know. I don't think I agree there. It's definitely different, but it's just like segregated.
The lowest common denominator can get on the internet now.
I mean, sure, a lot of people like. I mean, you say 90% people on the internet suck, but I think 90% of people in general probably suck. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and now they're allowed on the internet.
I mean, they were always allowed. They just didn't want to.
Yeah, but now we encourage it. Like,
yeah,
please
but like
make
we don't
Twitter.
have to interact with them, so I don't really give a fuck.
Yes, I do, because they come and they find me. Or they find, like, these content creators I talk to, they're like, I can't be myself anymore. Like, these guys who made these, like, grotesque Newgrounds animations back in the day, like, horrible stuff.
Animations
get them canceled.
Got fucked by YouTube because of the monetization shit.
Well, it's like, you have these people, like, you cannot be yourself on the internet. I actively have to portray myself as somebody I'm not to avoid getting canceled.
I mean, just don't be an asshole.
Like,
just don't be a...
No, it's not...
For the most part,
it's not even that.
I don't think that's even necessarily true, because people, like, freak out about, like, cancel things. Just don't be, like... I don't know. All you have to do is not just be, like, a bad person for the most part, and that's not hard.
But that's so opaque. Frog, that is incredibly opaque.
I mean, mostly it just means don't be racist 90% of the time. Unless, like, some people will have higher
That's not
standards, but
enough.
most of the time people will be like,
That's not enough.
I don't
like,
think that's true.
I absolutely do. Like, all I want to do is I want to talk about anime.
Yes.
I want to play video games. And I want to have laughs with my friends. And I actually feel like even to accomplish that basic harmless function, I have to walk on eggshells.
I mean, I've never had to walk on eggshells to do this before. I don't agree. Like,
well, it's like I constantly, every time I make a tweet now, I have to think before I even post it. Like I made a tweet that I deleted last night where I was like, cat anime was bad. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to delete this.
I mean, I think you're just being overly cautious for no reason.
I don't think so. I think there are piranhas. Like, there are literally parasitical people who are so miserable they can only get off by causing conflict.
I'm going to tweet,
like angry conflict.
I am going to assassinate
Don't.
the CEO of Warner Brothers Incorporated. No, I'm not gonna say that.
No, I was gonna say, like, God, that's such a bad idea, because like you need to listen to an episode of the official podcast where they talk about like the guy who went to jail for RuneScape.
Yeah.
Because he actually talks about it. He's like, don't ever make an open-ended threat. He's like, make a threat that has a very low probability of coming through. He's like, if you say you're gonna kill somebody, that's a bad situation because that's an open-ended threat that has no criteria.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're going to talk about being like, I'm going to assassinate the CEO of Warner Cable, you'd have to say something like, if it is a solstice and the Jets have won a sports ball game and Amazon stocks are at this percentage, I will assassinate the CEO of Warner Brothers. Because it's not a threat until that criteria is met.
Yeah. Even then,
so it's so weird.
I don't know. I mean, all you have to do is just not threaten people and not, like, actively be, I don't know, just don't be a fucking cack. It's pretty simple. I don't know.
No, it's I actually, like, we are not the only podcast out there, and I've listened to a bunch of like old grognard podcasts, and there's a feeling of like, in the old day, if I did something out of line, I would have a small group of people beat the hell out of me, and then we would go on with our lives. Like,
I definitely
PewDiePie
think that you should be able to like make up for your mistakes that you're saying. There's definitely like a genre of like thing where people. I feel like it's more the problem with the prison system where like if you like do a crime, for example, like you'll go to jail, sure, but like if you get out, you will be like shunned from every workplace forever, which is like the worst thing.
That is and then you're gonna go back to crime. But like it's the thing. Like PewDiePie was canceled. What? 3 years ago for saying the N-word while playing, he was playing PUBG.
I mean...
And that on top of, like, he was definitely doing some other stuff at the time, like the fact that he was, doing the stuff with Fiverr and whatnot. Like, he was definitely doing things that was drawing ire at the time. But he was, like, he got canceled for it, and I believe he made amends. But, like, you'd be amazed how often I see him brought up on Twitter, and people are like, he's been canceled, sweetie. Why are we even talking about this monster anymore?
People talk about like canceling as like a weird thing, it's a strange thing because actually it doesn't actually happen. Canceling is not real. Well, like
no, it's absolutely not.
It's not like you can't. People say like he just canceled. He's still like the number one YouTuber, even if but regardless of your thoughts on PewDiePie, he's not canceled.
It's just. Well, and and then you get these people who, like, write death threats, and those
people are it's like in the wrong, obviously. Like,
well, and this happened with H3, where Ethan and Ela Klein, they literally moved addresses, and they talked about it, where like we bought a private trust because people were threatening us.
This is more of a problem with like online mentality of an anonymity, and also like a lack of like people will just like when they see people on a screen, they don't like. It doesn't always register like how that person is as a human being. It's really strange. They don't like humanize whoever's like talking.
We were way more anonymous back in 2005, 2006, and we didn't do this.
Well, that's not true. So there's definitely some weird shit going on.
Okay, all right, but like
yes, your communities might not have, but you know.
No, but the whole cancel culture thing and stuff like that.
That's a very, very new thing in general anyway.
The only thing I actively remember happening was... I want to say it was like 2014 or 2004. Somebody uploaded a video of him burning a kitten to death. And I remember the internet destroyed that man's life.
Yeah.
But then we have stuff where people would they would draw Guro porn. Like, they would draw chicks,
Sure.
like, getting decapitated and stuff like that. And they never got in trouble for it.
I don't see why.
Meanwhile,
they should,
Sonic Fox, Sonic Fox gets added to Skullgirls, and everyone's like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
God.
this problematic furry.
That's. I mean, that's just like chodes being chodes. But like,
No, that would not have happened in 2004. I guarantee you that would not have
I
happened.
don't know. I guess we'll never know, right? Because it'll never happen.
Well, I was there. This kind of stuff did not happen in 2004.
I mean, yeah, because there's less of like an audience to do it. I understand what you're getting at, but like, I'm sure it's just it's literally just a matter of time before things like grow. Like, obviously, internet is going to grow. And now it's I think this is more a thing of population size or sample size than it is a thing of the same people.
No, it's you had to be computer literate to get on the internet 15 years ago. Like,
sure.
And so the people who were on the internet tended to be of a closer mindset than they are now. We have a much more diversified mindset on the internet now, and I think it's worse because of it.
That's why I just tend to stick to my own little communities, like the one we've made here.
I can't
like just pals.
I can't even stick to communities anymore. Like, I have one Discord that keeps me sane, and it's just, it's all people, like, we're all between the age of, like, 25 and 40, because I think, like, the oldest member on the Discord's 37. And, like, that is the single sanest place I have been on in the internet in 5 years.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Just be where you're comfortable.
But that's, like, it's just so frustrating that is the only place.
I mean, you can find other places. I have more than one. I just like where I am, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem necessarily. I definitely think there's pieces of shit on the internet. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm even an exception to that. I think I'm a piece of shit. But like,
oh, I've definitely mellowed out a little bit. I used to be a lot worse than I am. I'm still combative. Like,
yeah, no, I get super aggressive on certain things, but you know.
Well, like, but here's the thing: if I engage in an argument with somebody, I'm not there to prove a point. I'm not there to like start a fight. Like, I'm literally there. I'm in the same tier as like the guy who's like, you know, hey, Ray is better than Asuka. Like, I'm just there to fling crap for 5 minutes and then leave so both of us can get a laugh out of it. And that doesn't really exist anymore.
It still exists. People just hate you. It's just very frowned upon now.
So yeah, it's yeah. So I think now we've kind of run out of constructive things to say. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Frog?
Not so much. It's just been a very strange time, I guess. I mean, obviously, you know, we haven't talked about it very much, but you know, the virus going around has fucked everything up.
Well,
in terms
there's no reason to talk about the virus. Everybody's
I'm not talking about
it.
I'm just saying like how it's affected kind of just our lives, right? Because I haven't really been able to like go out and find cool stories because I don't have I've been being homeschooled for the whole time. I haven't been able to like watch very many shows because a lot of them get delayed or like canceled even. I haven't been able to do much, so I'm sorry I haven't been like super talkative this week. It's just like I'm not sure what to say. Like I guess I've
there's not
a
whole lot. You're right.
I've played Apex Legends. Oh, Apex Legends got announced for crossplay in September or something.
You know, I tried Apex Legends probably 3 times and I got no desire to play it.
It's really good.
It called me old fashioned, but the battle royale I like to this day is still PUBG.
Can't relate. Games,
and that's fine. Like, then again, I don't exactly like battle royales. I think they're the weakest form of online multiplayer.
That's fair. Like, if you don't like battle royale, that's its own thing. I'm not a huge fan of the genre in general, but it's just so easy to kind of pick up and get into that I kind of have fun with it. Although it is kind of frustrating sometimes, especially when you suck like me. Like at Apex especially, I'm very bad at it. And I get killed very frequently.
Well, I haven't competitive played a game since like Halo 1, and I played Halo Reach when I came out, and I was like, man, people have about as much time on their hands as I used to when I was 16 years old.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I mean, it's just some people like play like crazy and get incredibly good, and I'm like,
Yeah, I need to pick a hobby that I can actually be good at, where I don't have to deal with 14-year-olds who have nothing better to do with their lives.
Yeah.
It's like it's why I got into model painting, because like there are people, and they're mostly Russians, who are incredibly good at it, but like I don't have to fight with 14-year-olds who have nothing better to do.
Yeah, I guess my hobbies have gone more to the creative side of like doing like drawing or animating or like writing or just things like that, I guess, which don't require like a competitive aspect. And I like competitive aspects, right? But I guess the idea of making something and creating something for myself and seeing the end product is really very, very satisfying, and it doesn't need anyone else to like kind of rely on to. Although I do like playing, doing that with other people as well. So
Yeah. So, actually, I'm surprised we managed to make an hour and a half episode without Mike.
We were saying like this will probably be a shorter one just because like we don't have like our third leg here, but I think it ended.
No, but it's Moth we're talking about. Like, if you leave me in a room, I can probably record entire episodes by myself. Yeah. We're good, Frog.
We should do like one of your Moth's mysteries,
misunderstandings.
Yeah, I know.
I got one that we had the second one actually upload last week.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet, but I saw it upload.
It's a little bit dry. That one's definitely a little bit dry. And then and then we got the third one with my buddy Ahab, who's ex-military like me, and it'll be interesting because I'm one of the few people who genuinely hated my time in the military. Right. And you deal like in the conversation you have. Well, there's people who are like, oh, I hated the military, but man, I'd love to go back with my boys in the sandbox. And then there's me, and it's like, I hated every aspect of being there.
Yeah.
Like, every minute was torture, and I was glad when they were like, hey, do you want to leave early? But that's a story for the episode.
Yeah. Well,
so.
I'll
all right, guys.
Yeah, that's the We Hate Anime podcast, right? I've never done that before. I've never said that before.
Yep. Follow Frog King
on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Might put it in the description. So with
I
as well.
I am Der Mothman.
Yeah.
Jawohl. And recently, I actually gained some new followers.
Oh yeah, did you?
Yeah, I gained Stamper.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, you posted that in the Discord, so we got excited.
I gained Stamper and I gained Stamper's mom, and at this point, like, I'm just gonna close my followers from ever being followed again, because the only two people on the planet that matter follow.
Yeah, I actually got a couple followers lately too, just because like I posted 2 things that went like semi-viral. Not like viral's like stretching it. They were like the biggest one got 800 likes, I think, but it was big for me, so that was fun.
800 is a ton, yeah.
For me, yeah, because I got accepted by one of those gimmick accounts, out of context fighting games. And it was a fun clip. And the other one, I just commissioned a piece from Gianni. I forget his last name, but I'm gonna shout him out right now because he's hilarious. Please go watch him. Hold on, get Gianni.
Speaking of which, I think I'm gonna commission Stamper, like, because I know he does voice commissions. I'm gonna ask him, be like, hey, how much for you to read chapter 16.5 of Sword Art Online?
Yeah. Here we go. So go follow Gianni Matragrano. As at GETGIANNI, get Gianni. He's hilarious. If you want to see actually, Mike, I'm gonna send you the audio clip, and you're gonna play it at the end of the show that he gave me. All right, cool. That's all I want to say.
Let's see what this one says. I didn't piss. I didn't. I'm not a little pee-pee boy. I'm not. Yeah, I'll do this.